2x2 formation. Road change, now we go racing for the first time this season. 3 hours of GT action, it's go.
It's very tight as they come down. Group of cars coming in. This has all got trouble written all over it. This is G3 cars.
Drop downhill, they head towards the Aqua Minerale. Imminent, of course. There's another one on through the gravel. As wide as possible as they drop downhill, putting that from the inside line. Yes, he did. Through he goes.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Apex Online Racing YouTube channel. Round number 3 of the Endurance Championship. And it is a rare Friday night appearance ahead of tomorrow's 12 hours of Spa. We are here for Superpole across both tiers. Tier 1 will be coming later, but shortly it will be time for Tier 2. My name is Luke Etheridge, and joining me in the commentary box today, we'll also be hearing from both of us at different points tomorrow, is Chinson. Chinson, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, Luke. I hope you're doing well. I hope everyone in the chat is doing well as well. Congratulations if you made it to the weekend. However, for these drivers, there is still one last bit of work to be done.
Yeah, there is. They've been practicing having unlimited tries at qualifying, and the top 10 in each tier will be giving it their best shot to get on pole position around the historic Spa-Francorchamps circuit, just over 7 kilometres of course. And a bit like last time, for those of you who weren't here just under a month ago for Monza, it seems like the BMWs are doing quite well once again.
Yeah, one of the things about Spa is that, I mean, I have not met a person who hates Spa. As we do get ready to go, let's just give a rundown of the order first. So the first team to be going will be Beeswax Racing, the 333. But yeah, so with, and no surprises, they are in a BMW. But yeah, so BMW, probably one of the strongest cars for, since its release, really. It's a really stable car. Like, no matter what, you can hit the curbs with it, you can kind of toss it around a little bit and it'll do what you want. It's I'd probably safe to say it's quite a driver's favourite at the minute, isn't it? Especially with 6 being in this Superpole session alone.
Yeah, I mean that's really what you want from endurance racing. It's not necessarily over one lap. There might be cars out there that are quicker, but you're going to struggle to find a car over a race distance that you can push as consistently as the BMW. It certainly seems to be that way at the moment, and it is for 333 of Beeswax Wasabi Racing, driven by Damieo. They were the 10th fastest in the normal qualifying, so they get to go out first in the Superpole. Then it'll be 9th fastest, and so on and so forth. And they've only got one real chance to get this right, so there's always that balance to be held between how hard do you push, do you leave it all out there but know that a mistake is leaving you starting in 10th place, or do you just take it a bit safer, thinking probably won't get pole but could leave ourselves in a good position. These are the choices, the sacrifices that you've got to make when it comes to Superpole.
I personally would probably go all out, especially like if it's, I mean, going through like this, like essentially you have like 2 push laps, and because at the end of the day you don't really want to be taking too long on your outlap. just because like you want to really get into it. So like preparation on this lap is key, especially around Spa. Like a lot of other tracks you can kind of get away with it. Spa is so unforgiving, both in terms of lack of runoff and track limits, which is something that could possibly make or break a lap here, which I think we saw last time out. We did see a lap invalidation at Laguna, was it? Track limits. I think George Boothby went a little bit too wide, if I remember correctly.
I think there's definitely been a couple. It is very easy to get it wrong at a few of these circuits. I mean, Laguna will be heading to next time out, and I know Monza, where we were last time, is one where you can certainly see a few of the drivers starting to have some issues. But let's see what Damieo can do, though, as they take us around into La Source. This very tight corner now, heading down towards where we, of course, start in the race, where the pit lane is on the run down, the old pit lane that they used to use in Formula 1 down. On the way down towards Eau Rouge.
Eau Rouge through Radion. Nice and tight through there. How much does he... He cuts a fair amount of the curb at the top. Kept it nice and tight through the bus stop as well, just to get as much traction on the exit as well. And yeah, it's a surprise to see how close these drivers can get to the wall at La Source. So it'll be interesting to see how much they can push. But yeah, you can use the curbs a fair amount at Spa. It just depends. It does depend on what car you're in as well. I think probably the car that I'd probably be a little bit more concerned about today is the McLaren. That is a bit tail happy, but yeah, keeping it very very neat and tidy at the minute. So we'll see how the rest of the lap plays out.
Yeah, it has been a very tidy lap at the moment. Times that we are expecting the drivers to do then. Tier 2, what we saw in their main qualifying, you would expect it to be slightly slower than this. 217s, 218s, it was a 219.087 for this team. So over a lap, which is, you know, well over 2 minutes long, you're seeing all the cars in this Superpole session separated by about a second. So things are looking good. Things are looking like we are going to have a really tight session. It just signifies that point once more. You make one tiny mistake, it can all go wrong for you. Just about to head through the second sector split now through Stavolo and Paul Frere. Crucial that you get a good exit through here, because it is now one of the longest flat-out runs on the circuit through on the way towards Blanchimont. And then, of course, you've got to get the braking right for the bus stop.
Yeah, on the exit of Stavolo and Paul Frere, kept it very nice and tidy. Went a little bit over the curbs, but not pushing it too much. So probably keeping it a little bit safe, but at Spa that's probably one of the better things to do. Nice on the brakes into bus stop. A little bit of a tighter line for the first half. Get a little bit better exit on the second. Run a little bit wide. You can do that. And across the line, the first time is a 2:19.355.
Yeah, not bad whatsoever from AO then in the 333 car. Only 0.3 of a second slower than what we saw them do in the full qualifying, where, as we've already said, you've pretty much got unlimited runs at that. So that is a very respectable lap indeed. We'll see how it compares to the other BMW in the Speed Eagles car. I've got to say, from some of the liveries that I've picked up from in the half an hour before this session, I really am enjoying the silver BMW. Silver more suited to Mercedes, you could say, rather than the BMW, but it is looking very nice on the Speed Eagles car. Let's see how close they can get towards the apex of La Source. And I think from that camera angle, you can just about tell. There's going to be plenty of paint scraped on that, I feel, throughout the 12 hours tomorrow.
Yeah, a little bit more of a job for the paint techs and the mechanics as opposed to the track technicians. But yeah, again, quite a nice wide entry into Eau Rouge, getting the best and straightest lineup through Radion as well. And then just absolutely pinning it down the Kemmel straight. And one of the more challenging things, I should say, picking your braking zone for Lacombe.
Yeah, it's definitely very easy to get it wrong through there, but that looked nice. And
a lot more curb through the second part of Lacombe there, so trying to just make the track a little bit shorter, and only just in track limits, I think, there. Nearly off the curb as we're coming to turn 8 and then turn 9, which is no longer No Name. Sad face. It is now Speaker Corner.
Yeah, Speaker's Corner, named for, of course, where they're using all the curb there. As you go at Speaker's Corner, named because that is where the announcer stands at Spa-Francorchamps as he first gets to, or she first gets to see the cars after they've come out through Eau Rouge and Radion along the Kemmel Straight. We'll see how things go for Duro at the moment. Seems like they've been a bit more aggressive with the curbs on this lap than we saw from the 333 Beeswax car. And again, coming through the campus chicane, being a bit safer through there. It's not really a chicane where you want to be getting on the curb, certainly halfway through, but on the exit, taking as much as you would really want to do. It is perfect conditions for the Superpole. Whether it's going to be that free for the race, I think we'll be very surprised if we get 12 hours of Spa in both categories without any rain. We didn't see any rain at Monza in Tier 1. Tier 2 did have the odd light shower though, so that's another challenge that we've got for all these drivers tomorrow. Spa's hard enough as it is. Why not add some rain into the mix? And I'll be very surprised if there isn't any.
You've said it now, Luke. If it rains, I'm blaming you.
I mean, it's Spa. We can pretty much guarantee it. I think it would be more surprised if the opposite. A commentator's curse around Spa would be talking about the weather and having this conditions all the time.
Yeah, another quite late apex into the start of the bus stop there, so they're trying to minimise the amount of turning angle on the exit just to try and get as much traction as a 2:19.342, so only just quick enough for the fast time at the minute. And the next BMW is the 482 of MSL Racing. We do have two Beeswax teams in the Superpole session as well. This one currently being driven by Vita Sousa.
Yeah,
nice wide exit there. You can run so much through these, but there's some corners where you just can't. Everyone's got their hybrid setups ready. Oh, someone's in the chat as well. Like, oh, it will definitely rain. As yeah, again, nice bit of curb. You don't want to take. You can take quite a lot of the curb out of Radion, but if you get the move wrong or the car snaps on you a little bit, it's just that's it. That's you either back off or that's your lap gone.
Yeah, it's one of those corners. You don't have a tiny moment through Radion. Very rare anyone gets it slightly wrong through there. It does bite. Even though we will see, of course, you know, on any track updates that this game will get, and we'll see it on other games as well. They have reprofiled the corner slightly to make it a bit more challenging, to try to make it a bit more safer. Just looking at the lap times, you can get the live timing up, of course, on the pit wall. The link to that is pinned at the top of the chat. It was all about the final sector for the 98 car, a tenth faster in. I mean, they were incredibly close across all of them. They were slower coming through Sector 1 and Sector 2, despite looking a lot more aggressive. We're faster in that final sector, so that is where it made all the difference, and that is how incredibly close things are going to be. We said it would be. It's 482 just coming through the campus chicane now. See how much curb they're willing to take on the exit. Again, running as wide as you dare. Clearly, they've all been practicing with the curbs that you can get away with the track limits a bit more on at certain parts of this circuit. It's still got that old school feel, though. At some parts, if you do run a bit too wide, you're going to find yourself with a car full of gravel.
Yeah, that's not exactly what you want. You don't want your car in the gravel. You definitely want it. You definitely want it on the grey stuff. Where are we? 482 coming through Blanchard, nice and tidy. Taking quite wide, but taking a lot of curb, even touching the both sausages on the heart of the apex is there. So what's the line? Will it be faster? Our first 18.5. So that's a storming lap so far. And we do have the next Beeswax team coming up in the only Lexus in the session. Beeswax Racing, Misbehaving. Very clever from Beeswax. How close did they get? Not that close actually. They I don't think they touched the curb at all.
No, clearly going for a slightly different line. We'll see whether that's just a car thing or whether it just works for these. But yeah, very quick lap by the 482 then. That time actually faster than what they managed to do in the normal qualifying by 4/10 of a second.
Yeah, quite a tight line into Eau Rouge as well. So definitely Lexus possibly a little bit more workable, especially when you push it. The Lexus is probably one of the strongest all-rounders. It's quite a good car for people who are like new to SEC as well as the BMW, the Bentley and the Aston. Fortunately, we only have two of those manufacturers in this one, Aston and BMW. Yeah, very the Lexus definitely... ooh, was that a little bit of a wiggle on the exit there, or is it keeping it very tidy?
Yeah, I think it's one of the parts of the track you'll get away with the wiggle coming out of Bruges because the one towards speakers is quite small. So you can get away with it a bit more than you would at other parts. Probably only going to cost you maybe a tenth or two, but judging by how close the gap is between second and third at the moment, that might end up making quite a massive difference in this session. Triple Eight making their way around the campus again now in this Lexus. And I agree with you. I've not been able to play as much ACC as I'd like, but cars like the Lexus, the Bentley especially was a favourite of mine just because of how forgiving it seemed to be with someone who's so lack of talent, I think is the nicest way of putting it, when it comes towards driving. Thankfully, these guys have got a lot more talent than me, even if they are in slightly more forgiving cars. But this is looking like a very solid lap. See how tight they can keep it towards the exit of Blanchimont there. Very nice indeed. Looking like a solid lap. It's what we expected. There's not going to be a lot between any of them.
Yeah, I mean, especially, this lap they haven't, like, pushed the limits of the track to try and get every single ounce out, especially coming into Blanchimont. You can move the car over a lot more just to try and get, a straighter line, so you put less turning, you lose less speed, and it's what is that, a 2:19.2.
Yeah, 2:9.
0.60, they're still on for P2 at the minute.
Yeah, still on for P2 at the minute, and don't worry everyone, if you were getting withdrawal symptoms from the lack of M4 on your screen, there we go again. With the last turn Motorsport, the LMT, the 330 car. Let's see what they can do in this session. Let's take a quick look how these cars are doing in the championship. It's actually not been... just trying and find where they are at the moment. The 482 that is currently leading this session is top of the championship in Tier 2 by quite a margin as well. They've got 93 points, and this is the team last turn that are in second with 65 at the moment. So they'll definitely be hoping for a fantastic start to this qualifying session, and obviously a fantastic race tomorrow. It might be 12 hours, it might be the longest race that we've got. It is still worth the same points as all the others though.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, like watching like the different lines, watching like how a couple of different drivers take it, the lines are entirely different. I mean, again, the I'm trying to think of the words now. The line through La Source was similar to the Lexus, so again, not pushing too much to try and squeeze every ounce out, but running nice and wide on the exit of speakers coming down to Pouhon, which is probably one of the funniest names on a circuit. Running nice and wide there, getting a nice line through the second half of that. That's probably one of the hardest ones to brake for and turn in for, because if you overcook it a little bit too much, either your back end or your entire car's going to slide and you're just going to lose time. But yeah, coming through the quite large chicane. How does he take this? Taking any curb? None at all. Taking a lot of exit curb. I think that's just within the bounds. As is that. That is probably as close an exit as you can get coming out of Stavelot there. How much track does he take into Blanchimont? Let's have a look. Lot of car on the green there, and taking it fairly conservatively on the exit. 2 corners to go. Let's see how they get on. Nice and tight in there. Come around. Nice and smooth to the line. It is 2:18.4.
I'm going to be honest, I was not expecting that. I thought they left definitely coming through Paul Fair. I thought they left maybe just a bit of time on the entry to the corner, but still clearly a very good lap. 2:18.442 puts them fastest of everyone at the moment. And let's see what the paint explosion, I think, is the best way of putting it on the 142 car. Very, very different.
I love these liveries. I love them.
Anything that's makes you stand out from the crowd is a good one for me. You will be seeing in one of the races tomorrow. I've already named it the Bentleyton. It's almost like a mid-80s Benetton livery. If it's in Tier 1, I'm sure you'll get a chance to see it tomorrow. Let's see what the amazingly, what is this, the 5th BMW we have seen in this Tier 2 qualifying. Let's see how they take it for Eau Rouge.
Only one more to go. We might end up with a BMW top 4. A little bit. Ooh, that is wide. That is wide through Eau Rouge. that has hopefully not invalidated the lap. Hopefully not. I mean, if there's any inkling, you probably still want to finish your lap anyway. But yeah, that was a little bit. That's not really what you want to do up there, especially if the car's starting to get away from you. Nice and tight through the second part of the coming down to the hairpin. How tight do they take it? Quite nicely as well. But yeah, we've only got one more BMW to go after this, so if you're a BMW fan, I am so sorry. Quite wide on the exit speaker as well. So yeah, the delivery on this car reminds me of, like, you know, the videos where you see like powder paint being thrown around.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fairly sure I've seen like some sort of like abstract painting. I mean, anyone who's into art probably either A has no idea what I'm on about, or B has an idea and is absolutely horrified. But there's definitely some sort of like quite famous painting I've seen that has that sort of edge about it. Definitely, you know, definitely don't think I'm just making things up at the moment. It's definitely not the most solid lap we've seen so far, though, from the 142. There was that moment, as we mentioned, from Eau Rouge Radion, where even if it wasn't invalidation, definitely would have cost them a bit of time. And there's been a few other slight issuing moments. Whether that just means they've not got a car that's as solid around the corners as they have in a straight line remains to be seen. Whether they can make up that pace through Sector 1 and Sector 3, we'll wait and find out.
Yeah, one of the issues is you've got to get a setup that's right, and sometimes it can just upset you. But yeah, that'll cost you at least, I'd probably say, around 2/10, because you lose so much speed on Kemmel, and it kind of shows in the lap time as well. It's a 2:18.9, which is a very quick time, but you're still half a second off of current P1. So yeah, and we have the only Mclaren in the session, who I do believe has quite a few fans in the chat. Anvar Osmanov, I had to read that before I pronounced it. Is the team Yellow Petrol? Because that is what they are cheering in the chat. It is Yellow Petrol Omega. Yeah, the McLaren's one of the more unruly beasts to go around the circuit, far from the front. Again, just that rear end is a little bit can be a little bit squirrely, but kept it really nice, bouncing up through Radion and absolutely caning it down the Kemmel Straight. But I do love a McLaren, I have to be honest. Yeah,
it just feels right, doesn't it? Yellow McLaren always obviously invokes some pretty good memories as well. Osmanov, well, yellow and red, we are in Belgium, so not too far off. And I think what we just saw on the previous lap from the 142 kind of fit with what we said. They were quickest we've seen out of anyone in Sector 1, nearly the quickest we've seen out of anyone in Sector 3, a second off of the fastest time from the 330. As that'd be the McLaren there, just showing how squirrel it can be on the exit, kicking flames out as it comes through Bruchel and speakers. And that's exactly what you were talking about, Chinson. This is a car that can bite.
Yeah, I mean, especially, one of the things with just watching how the McLaren's behaving is they are pushing. They are really pushing to get every possible bit out of that McLaren. If you do take it a little bit conservatively, the back end wouldn't step out. Not as much, if at all. And yeah, you can just see like how wide they're taking it as well. They're absolutely, this is just it. They're leaving absolutely nothing on the, I would say on the table. Let's say on the sim rig, as it were. These guys are Aliens 218s. Where I'd probably say pole for tier 1 is going to be the mid to low 217s, if I'm perfectly honest. McLaren nicely through there. It does ride nicely at high speed. Has an issue with mid speed, but yeah, let's see how it handles bus stop. Very deep into bus stop there. A little bit late on the brakes, so yeah, definitely pushing that McLaren. Oh, and it's a
5th place.
Yeah, I think the that running deep at bus stop will have definitely cost some time there. As we have only 3 more cars to go. One of them is Mr. Kleinen in the number 4 Aston Martin. Nice and tight for the sauce there. So let's have a look how much speed he can carry through Eau Rouge and Radion.
Kleinen in the number 4 Aston Martin. Then it is still Juknavicius in the 330 that is on top at the moment. That looks like a very solid one up the hill through Eau Rouge and Radion, just pushing the Aston to the absolute limits. Their time what they did earlier on in the normal qualifying session for this team, I believe, as I'm just trying to get it up, I think they did a 2:18 earlier, so this is looking like a pretty decent lap. We'll see what the Aston Martin can do around the rest of the circuit, heading their way through the exit of Lake Home, riding the curb quite nicely.
Yeah, the Aston Martin again is one of the ones that, especially if you're new to ACC, is one of the safe bets to drive, because it's, I don't know what it is, but it's very stable, and it kind of shows, like, it's not like Kleinen is definitely pushing in. I'd expect him to be in a Superpole session, and cars just, it doesn't look like it's disagreeing with him at all. It is very, very stable, and yeah, I mean, I've driven the Aston around Spa, and it is very nice, and it's a little bit strange to get used to, but that was probably only just in on the exit of that chicane there, so definitely, yeah, definitely on the limits there. So hopefully we'll get a storming time from the Aston.
Yeah, not too much longer to wait. It's been as you said, it's been a fantastic lap so far, pushing the number 4 to the absolute limits of the car's performance, and probably of what you can get away with the track limits as well. 2 wheels on the curb on the exit through Blanchimont, heading in towards the bus stop chicane, slowing the car down, and a lot neater than what we saw from the 672 just over 2 minutes ago. So this is looking like a pretty good lap from Kleinen at the moment. Comes towards the line, and it is good enough for 3rd place on a 2-minute 18.780. So they're guaranteed a top 5 from this session. Only 2 cars to go, and next it is Team Hivemind in the 728. 4th in the championship at the moment. Let's see what the final Beamer can do.
Yeah, so a little bit sad for any fans of Beamers, but again, the Beamers have been very strong. There's 3 in the top 4, so it is quite possible that this will be, it could be I'm trying to think of the word now. A very fast time. Quite nice up Eau Rouge, possibly a little bit too far to the left for like an immensely fast run through Kemmel. Nicely through Lacombe, and I'm just having a look at what someone has said in the chat. How do you sign up? You can go to apexonlineracing.com, where you'll find all the necessary information to sign up to whatever league you may fancy. There are a fair few leagues, not just ACC. I think you do an F1 league as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, that's how not anymore, but that is how I started on ACC, back on AOR even, back on the F1 leagues, way back in 2018. Time flies when you're having fun. But yes, there are other game leagues open as well. AOR ACC wise, you aren't able to sign up for the Endurance Championship at the moment, but there is a BMW M2 league, which is taking place on Tuesday nights, which is also streamed on the YouTube channel, so make sure to check that out, either as a racer or a spectator. Quite a few times this 728's in the middle sector been pushing the track limits to their limit.
A little bit too much curb there on the entry to that, on the exit of that long chicane. There was a little bit of grass there, so that will cost some time, just the car bouncing and resettling. A lot of taking a lot of track on the exit as well. But yeah, so there's various leagues, and there is also a Discord as well, where you can chat with fellow ACC drivers, players, sim racers, fans, as the BMW comes on the line. Nice and tight, nice and clean. Up to the line, it is a 2:18.9, if I'm not mistaken.
Slots himself.
2:18.8, sorry, I am mistaken.
Slots into 4th, very close at the moment, and there's only 1 car left, and that is the Crazy Fire Racing. Konstantin Volkov in the 149, second Aston Martin. Now, we've seen the first Aston lap look good. Only good enough for third place. We'll see if Volkov can ruin the BMW party at the top.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely... I mean, to be honest, Volkov doesn't really have anything to lose here, because if they invalidate the time, they're starting 10th. If they mess the lap up, they may be starting 10th. It's basically a fact of Volkov basically just needs to put every single thing basically on the edge and just throw the car as much as he can around the lap and hope that it actually sticks. The further up the field, the better, but obviously this is Spa. Anything can happen, especially in 12 hours, let alone the very famous 24, which some of my friends are going to later this year, and I'm very, very jealous and annoyed that I can't go. But we're going to that. But yeah, so these guys, I mean, these times are relatively fast, especially if you can do this like race pace wise as well. But yeah, the Aston is looking very comfortable. I wouldn't say it's looking like it wants to. Again, it's like the Aston doesn't really want to disagree. It is looking very comfortable and very stable. I haven't. We'll have to see if Volkov can keep the reins on the Ferrari well in hand. Not touching the curbs there, so possibly a little bit later on the brakes, but we'll see nicely at Assetto as well. As we run down to Blanchimont for the last time in Tier 2, and then we get to the really fast boys. But let's have a look how Volkov can finish the lap up.
Yeah, let's see what Volkov can do then. Not too much further to go then for the 149 in the Aston. Nice and clean. Coming through Blanchimont spot. You're braking for the bus stop chicane. Changed in 2005. Again, nice and tidy. Perhaps drifting over a bit more to the middle of the road there on the entry than would have been ideal. But Volkov heads towards the line. Can this put them on pole position? No, it can't. It is 5th place. And that is going to be that for the qualifying session. And you can see the times up on there. It is the 3:30 car. That takes pole by just less than a 10th of a second.
Yeah, that's a very close margin between P1 and P2. Both of them BMWs, but surprisingly, only one purple sector for either of the top 3. So purple sectors all up the field. Purple sector in the purple first sector for the 728. Purple middle sector for the 330 on pole, and then a purple final sector for the 888 Lexus. So definitely some variation in lap times, but they are very close in terms of their sector times. Just a little bit here and there that I think's probably won it. Got that for the 330, who I do believe we also have ready waiting in the commentary booth. So let me just bring them up here. Hello, welcome to the commentary box. I'm going to assume you are for the car on pole of 330 BMW.
Yes, I am. Hello, everyone.
Congratulations on pole position. A very, very tidy and fast lap there. First of all, how much were you pushing the car?
I mean, I was racing a lot. That was first my Superpole, so I had no experience. But about the laps, I mean, it was kind of a good lap. Missed a lot of braking points, and I don't know how I got pole, so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely Spa's definitely one of the ones where you can easily make or break a lap. Which, I mean, you got pole by less than a 10th of a second, so it is pretty close between you and P2 on the front row. Both of you BMWs. Are you comfortable with Spa? Is it one of your more favourite tracks, or is it one that you're not as much a fan of?
I think Spa is okay for everyone. I've done a lot of laps, so I think we're all good. I hope we can give a lead into first turn, and we will see what happens.
Yeah, I think
Sorry, go on, Luke.
I was going to say that's pretty much it. With obviously endurance racing being such a long session. How are you feeling about seeing as I've put the commentator's curse on it already. What are you hoping for a dry race? I'm guessing starting from the front, or do you feel pretty confident that even if we do get a bit of rain, you can still be at the front?
I think a lot of rain doesn't suit BMW here. I will try my best, and I don't know. I hope it will be dry because I feel more comfortable. So yeah, we will see.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something. Oh, we'll see indeed. Chinson, any final thoughts from yourself?
No, other than that, it's just a pretty much perfect lap. Didn't look like you were fighting the car too much, if at all. But yeah, other than that, congratulations and good luck for the 12 hours that await you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Thank you to our pole sitter for joining us. We're just going to be waiting a few minutes while we try and get things set up for the Tier 1 session. And judging by that session, it's going to be pretty tight indeed. 2 minute 18 lap time, less than a tenth of a second, separated for top 2.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, definitely something we can have a look at. In terms of the timings on the race, obviously tomorrow we will be exclusively broadcasting the Tier 1 race, which I do believe is about to get started if I think if we are ready, Luke. So do not go anywhere. We are just switching over, or rather, I think Luke is just switching on to Tier 1.
Yeah, will not be too long. Just a few technical hitches in the background. In no way has any program crashed whatsoever.
Oh dear. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, just please do bear with us, guys.
Yeah, should not hopefully be too long. We'll just talk a bit more about what we saw in that session. Definitely some changes in terms of the the way different cars were trying to, the way different teams were taking it. We saw some being a bit faster in the first parts of the lap and the final parts, and then some obviously going all out towards the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things about Spa. Like, some people, like a lot of people, have their strong areas where they are extraordinarily comfortable, and I think everybody's possibly a little bit anxious about not screwing Rouge and Radion up. But yeah, please do bear with us, guys. No, there's no issues with any servers, thankfully. So right, okay.
Yeah, bear with us, folks. Hopefully it shouldn't be. Hopefully it shouldn't be too long. It's a problem I've had before, and I'm just trying to remember how I fixed it. But hopefully we should be able to get things underway not too long. We've got some very quick cars in this top tier, of course. I can tell you now from the practice sessions, we're seeing times in sort of the 2 minutes 16. So that gives us an idea of what we might be getting. What we might be getting ready to see in the actual qualifying session. As I don't want to dare jinx it. But it looks like things might be heading back towards where they should be. So hopefully we'll be able to get ourselves started very shortly with the next session.
I think I'm assuming you fixed your technical issue then, Luke.
Let's not speak too soon, but it looks better than it did 2 minutes ago. It looks like we are not too far away from being ready to go.
Right. Okay. So, so that means the guys in the server do get a little bit more practice just to refine it. I think we are going to get ready to go. So, let's see who we have first in this Tier 1 Superpole. So, we did have a 500 for, I believe, a Ferrari for Forza Italia. They have been unable to make the session, so Flying Estonians will be taking their place today with a Jus Parek in a number 8 McLaren. That will be first out on track. Have you got the... There we go. It is quite a varied actually. There's 3 McLarens, 3 Ferraris, 2 Hondas, and 2 Beamers. So quite an even spread. And also, 2 cars I know are very squirrely at the rear end. So we will have to see how this plays out.
Yeah, we will indeed.
I for one cannot wait. I think I'm having the same issue you did before.
Just leave the
there we
server,
go.
restart things a few times, and eventually things have to come through. Thought I was going to have to restart the game, which when you've got multiple screens and it sometimes wants to start on a different monitor is never ideal. But hey ho, things are working nice for us now. Pavic just trying to get some heat into those tyres. The big difference that stands out straight away, obviously from the lack of BMWs that we've got, a few more McLarens, we've got Hondas in this session, and 3 Ferraris. And I heard a few people say in the chat, and even before this session started, that the Ferrari is a very decent car to get around here. If you can get the Ferrari working, it will be faster than the BMW, no question.
Definitely. I mean, the Ferrari is a very, very strong car, providing you can obviously pilot it correctly. And I don't mean that as a... it's absolutely not like a nasty word against anybody. It's just the Ferrari can be a very difficult car to handle. Especially if you have a very, very slick setup, which some drivers might be going for. You sacrifice a little bit of rear downforce just to get a little bit more straight line speed, which at a track like Spa can be very beneficial, but it can also mean you can go quite wrong. Quite a wide exit to what is no longer called the bus stop actually, but I will always know it as the bus stop. As the McLaren starts its lap, how close do we get? Not too close, just kissing the apex maybe. So the next big moment, how wide of an entry do they take into Eau Rouge and Radion? And how much does that booty bounce? It's fairly stable to be fair, coming up through Eau Rouge and Radion. Very nice line through there. And then yeah, this is probably where the McLaren and the Ferraris will probably be will have a better advantage, is in a straight line, because they do tend to be very slippy cars. Can be a little bit squirrely, but yeah, they are keeping it very nice and tight, using a little bit more of the road than we have seen in Tier 2. But if someone called the Tier 2 guys aliens, then I have no clue how to describe these extraordinary sim races. That was only just in limits at speaker there. So yeah, definitely not holding back, I don't think, like.
Yeah, well, I mean, we spoke about, people having free hits earlier. Flying Estonians and just Pavic in the number 8 weren't expected to be in this Superpole session. Only got in because, unfortunately, one of the other teams could not make it. So they're just feeling, we've got given this opportunity. We might as well grab it with both hands, grab the wheel of the McLaren with both hands and throw it around the circuit. Have a bit of fun. That's been the only really wild moment we've seen at the moment. Perhaps just taking a bit too much curb on the entry there as well, forcing them slightly wider than they would have liked, but it's been a very solid lap at the moment from just Pavic. We were seeing obviously times around 2:18.3, 2:18.4 being the fastest from the aliens in the Tier 2 session. These aliens, androids, I don't even know how we're going to describe these guys in Tier 1. We'll see what the first lap time is and the target for everyone else to hit as they now head towards the bus stop chicane. We've only seen one McLaren do this earlier on, and unfortunately they didn't do it quite as tidy as that. Heading towards the finish line for Pavic. What is it going to be? 217.3.
Oh, that is okay. I thought I said like mid to low 217s for pole. I think. Do you reckon we'll get a 216 from these guys?
If we don't get a 216, I will be extremely surprised.
I mean, there is one car I'm expecting to hit 216. Do you know which one I'm on about?
I am going to take a punt at the. I'm going to go for. I think it'll be a Ferrari. I think the 869 is going to smash it to 216s.
Purely because of the guys who drive it. Like the guys in the 869 who, for people who are not aware, is the car that one Mr. Jaroslav Honzik, or that is that lap over for the Honda. Finished the lap anyway, see what it could have been. But that is definitely an invalidation and a shame as well for Alvarado. Yeah, ran a little bit too wide and lost it at the entrance of Le Com as well. That is a shame. That is very unfortunate. Yeah, that's one of the things. Unfortunately, that is one of the things about Spa. It can bite you, and if it does bite you, it doesn't nibble. It doesn't nibble like a cute little furry creature like a hamster. It will bite you. But yeah, so I think next up we have Marlon Andrade for the Vanwall Simsport guys. A returning team to the Endurance Championship. Last year they ran a Mclaren, I believe, as a number 13 car, I think they ran that. I may be incorrect, but
the number change and the car change definitely hasn't done them any harms at the moment. Andrade and his teammates in the 58 Vanwall Simsport car took the victory last time out at Monza, and I was just 1 point behind their teammates in the 57 car. It is the 57 Vanwall Simsport car that is currently leading this championship on 87 points at the moment. The 58 is on 86, and that aforementioned Ferrari that we were talking about earlier, the 869, they took the victory at Britain. Didn't go quite as well for them at Monza, but they are still only 6 points off the top of the championship lead. So they look to be the three that are really fighting towards the top. We're halfway through the season. It is only a short season, 2 rounds to go, the 12 hours here, and then we have got Laguna Seca not too far away either. That will be in about 4 weeks' time. Interesting to see how things go around there. But for now, let's see what Andrade can do on this lap. Hoping, obviously, that
it's
they
an
can
invalidation. Is it? Have they started their? They haven't started their lap yet. Oops. Okay, I may have got a little bit excited there. I thought that outlap was their flying lap. My apologies to the Vanwall Simsport guys. I am so sorry. The invalidation from the Hondas threw me off. Yeah, taking a lot of curb again. That is still valid. That is a valid lap within the track limits of Spa-Francorchamps ACC. So probably get a little bit of a telling off in different classes such as like open wheel, maybe Formula 1, Formula 2, but GT3, that is perfectly acceptable. Again, riding the curb through Le Com there, taking it's definitely using all of the track.
Yeah, we spoke about, obviously, in Tier 2 about how forgiving the BMW can be, and this is why you pick it. You can get away with maybe, even if you run slightly wide by accident. I think all these corners from Andrade are definitely on purpose at the moment, coming through speakers, using a lot of line. Definitely not taking the line that you would see on some other games through on the run down towards Pujon. I think if you do head onto the grass here, you would end up siding your way towards the wall. Didn't look the most stable on the entry through the first Pujon there. Definitely looked as though the rear was wanting to just slide away a bit and not able to get on the throttle as perhaps early as they would have liked, but it's still been definitely very solid so far. Alvarado, obviously our first invalidation. I think that might have just been on the exit of the campus chicane, maybe just half a car length wider than you would ideally be. Definitely had to check up to avoid heading towards the gravel.
Yeah, definitely, let's call it exploring the track limits. I'm not sure how far out you can go there. It may be that this lap is invalid, but I'm not 100%. Again, the track limits change depending on which racing sim you do, so it's hard to remember. Coming up to the bus stop, very nice and tidy through there. Keep it in the middle of the track, kiss the apex on the middle, and then get straighten the car up, throttle to the line as quick as you can. That was a 2:17.4 just. So not good enough for pole, but good enough for front row so far. As the other, is this the second Ferrari? Yes, the second Forza Italia team in the 501 Ferraris. I love these liveries. The Forza Italia guys had great liveries last season, and they've repeated that this season as well.
Yeah, certainly. If liveries could give you some extra time, ones like this would definitely be worth a bit of a speed boost. That Ferrari looking resplendent in the Spa sunshine as he makes his way up the hill at Eau Rouge and Radion. So Pavic fastest at the moment on a 17.380. Andrade for the Vanwall 58. You can see just 0.117 behind Alvarado. First invalidation that we've had across all of our tiers tonight, tier 2 and tier 1. So definitely they've been keeping it largely nice and clean. As we go on board with the Ferrari, keeping it tight through the first 2 parts of Lecombe to obviously give yourself that best possible line on the exit.
Yeah, I mean, looking at Ferrari through Eau Rouge, it was very, very bouncy. So yeah, definitely, again, definitely not holding back. And you can see that coming on through the exit of Speaker as well. Just the Ferrari, it can absolutely fly. It's probably one of the nicer cars to drive around Spa, just because you can push it so much, and it's like it can become a challenge, which is where the fun starts. Which sounds a little bit weird to say. It becomes a challenge and then it gets fun, because then you find out like where you can push the car, where you can't. But yeah, nice bit of curb there on the exit coming through Stavolo. You kind of want to hook it up just in that. I'll start again in English this time. The curb on the exit of Stavolo it has a little recess in it, and you can kind of use that to just get the car rotated a little bit more, especially if you're pushing hard. The car can just step a little bit and get you pointing a little bit more forward, so you don't run too wide. Yeah, nice on the brakes. Little bit of a bounce on the sausage curb. Nice there, running not too wide on the exit, and up to the line. It is an identical time to the BMW, a 2:17.497. But obviously, with how the qualifying rules work, as the BMW set that time first, they are ahead. That's so satisfying to see 2 times exactly the same. As we switch to the 45 McLaren, taking not the tightest line through La Source, and let's see how we get up to, again, Eau Rouge and Radion, and me keeping an eye on that McLaren rear end again. How bouncy is it? Too bouncy, pretty stable, and again, tight to the line for the quickest run through down Camel Straight.
Yeah, it's amazing how you've got a 7-kilometre circuit, 18, 19 corners, 2 completely different cars, 2 completely different drivers. They've managed to set a time identical to 1,000 of a second. Let's see what Sergei Danilov can do. There's not a lot of time between the top 3 at the moment. He's in the crazy file number 45, and almost it reminds me a bit of the Mika Hakkinen helmet. Just seeing a blue and white on a McLaren just reminds me of the Flying Fin days, and Danilov will certainly be hoping he can fly his way around this circuit. Comes through Speaker again. That is perfectly fine. That's pretty much perfect to what you're going to be wanting to do around there on the way into Pujon. We saw a few cars earlier. I think the Aston especially, and we've seen the odd BMW do it, just take a bit more curb into Pujon, probably because they feel confident that it won't lead to the rear end snapping around and ruining your lap.
Yeah, I mean, taking a little bit more curb again. It just gives you a little bit more space to turn in. It gives you a little bit more track just to try and run the car through, so you can maybe get a little bit more speed out of it. Sometimes it can work, and sometimes it can detriment you, because if you upset the car too much, then the brakes aren't going to respond how you want them to. You try and throw the car in there, and it, as opposed to going in a straight line, it kind of
Does it?
Yeah, I was trying to think of the. It kind of strafes. That was the word I was looking for. Kind of just strafes across, and then you find the grip. The McLaren taking till possibly a little bit later on the brakes to try and get a little bit more time. But you can get so much time out of the brakes coming into bus stop. The line, it's only 4th for the moment. That is a 2:17.642, and I think we now have a Honda NSX, which reminds me of the Braun GP F1 car somewhat, going very slow and taking a very conservative line to try and get the best line. Now, something that I have noticed in a couple of updates since our last outing. Thank you very much for the support, Tim. It is very appreciated. Timosaurus in the chat there, guys. Taking a little bit of a rest today. But yes, if you take a certain line through bus stop, it will invalidate your lap as your exit speed was too high and it knows what you're trying to do. That came out a couple of updates ago, I believe. Or if it's been in the game since its release, I've not known about it, but yeah. Anyway, back to the car. Quite nice through La Source and Radeon, and very tidy through Lacombe as well. Taking a lot out of that middle apex there, as the Honda runs wide and comes down to Bruchel.
Yeah, it's been nice and steady at the moment from Zymanski through Bruchel. Like you said, a very, very deliberate start to this out lap, well, to this hot lap. And I think it was the Sport 24 Hours. I want to say it was the last year's or the years before, where there was all the controversy going off about the very interesting lines we were seeing drivers take on their qualifying laps. They're almost making their way towards the pit wall, which I think as anyone who's driven this on any game will know that is quite an achievement to end up running that far wide through there. Zymanski perhaps not the tidiest run though through Poohon is going to be, barring any invalidation, there's going to be the sole Honda to have set a lap time after what happened to Alvarado earlier. Still incredibly close at the moment, and if the 199 does the lap that they did earlier on in the main qualifying session, which was a 2:17.2, that would be good enough to put them on provisional pole position.
Yeah, so we do have a couple of contenders for pole position here, as the second Vanwall Simsport is currently doing its out lap as well. The Honda taking again that nice wide line into Blanchimont and running wide, as we now come down to the final heavy braking zone. Nice and tight there. You want to try and open up the corner as much as you can. Again, just to get the straightest line out the corner, the best traction up to the line. It is a 2:16.7. So that is currently pole position for Zymanski in the Honda. Honda power for the win, I guess. As the second Vanwall Simsport BMW starts their flying lap. Going how tight to fairly tight to there. Again, try and straighten the car up. Tim is rooting for the 58 Vanwall Simsport and the 720, which I do believe is about to start its lap. So I know you're not able to commentate at the moment, Tim, but you're a commentator. You're supposed to be impartial. I shall let you off this once. But yeah, again, so very nice and tidy up through Eau Rouge and Radeon, as we kind of expect from the BMW. Very, very stable car. Got quite a bit of weight to it as well. I know the Bentley's supposed to look very heavy, but it is actually one of the lighter cars in the ACC GT3 field. But yeah, again, the Vanwall Simsport leaving nothing on the table. So will it finish ahead of its sister car? Double apex through Bruchel, a little bit of a different line. Very nicely coming into speaker, cutting the curb a little bit and running not too wide through there. So yeah, gaining speed but not going overly clipping the curb a little bit to get a little bit more. I see what you mean. Very tidy through Poohon. So yeah, definitely one to watch at the moment. Ooh, a little bit wide through there. Yeah, what do you think pole time's going to be, Tim? Luke, I've just been watching Tim. I do apologise. What do you think pole time's going to be, Luke?
I've been called worse, don't we? I've been called a lot worse. I think we're going to see a 2:16.5. I think the 16.7 from Zymanski in the 199 Honda is a very impressive lap time. I wouldn't be surprised if that is good enough for pole position, but it wouldn't. I think we're going to get a 2:16.5. I think someone's going to, just manage to pull it out the bag at the moment. Whether it's going to be Daniel Pashka in the 57, our championship lead car at the moment, I'm not quite so sure. The 58 Vanwall did a 2:17.497, identical to what we saw from the Forza Italia Ferrari. What can the 57 do? Just riding that curb on the exit of the chicane, comes across the line. It's slightly slower than we saw from the 58. Fifth place at the moment. Look how close things are at the moment. 3 cars separated by 7/100ths.
Yeah, that was actually quite. That's quite surprising from the Vanwall Simsport guys, especially like the championship leader. Have I ever heard a comment? Yes, I have. I believe he wasn't impartial because of delivery, and he had some weird addiction to meat to meat snacks. So we'll leave it there for the time being. The final McLaren, and there are only 2 more cars after this. So again, the McLaren up for Eau Rouge Raidillon. Little bit more bouncy, I'd probably say. That was probably on the edge of track limits as well by Granis Grafis. Yeah, so definitely with the McLaren, you have to take a wider line. The McLaren doesn't want to turn in until you come off the power or off the brakes. So you can't put any full load through the front tyres if you want it to turn in sharp. You have to let off the brakes and the car will actually just dart in a little bit. So yeah, the McLaren's definitely a little bit more of a handful. So to see these guys drive it so fast is definitely impressive. Double apex at Bruxelles again. So definitely we do have our tier 2 pole sitter cheering on the 720 in the chat as well. How stable are we going to be through P1? A lot of curb again. Nice clip. Running it too wide and then a nice line. It is fun coming through. It's so low to the ground and you could just... It's just such a nice flow.
Yeah, definitely. It's been looked good so far. I agree with you with the bouncing coming through Eau Rouge and Raidillon. It's the bounciness we've seen for the first part, and then very close as we caught from the onboard to being over the track limits on the exit of Raidillon as well. Nice and tidy. It's been a nice and tidy lap so far. Pavic is second in one of the McLarens on a 2:17.3, but there's quite a big gap at the moment that they can definitely slot themselves into. They go faster than the other McLaren. Guaranteed a top 5 here for the Beeswax Racing Lithuania car. Grantas Karakas making his way through Blanchimont now. Bit wider than we saw some of the drivers doing in Tier 2, and maybe that's just the difference between the different tiers. Maybe feeling a lot more confidence. Nice and tidy through the chicane then. What's this time going to be on the finish line? Is he going to challenge for pole position? Is he going to challenge for the front row of the grid? Ooh, very close indeed. 2:16.787 puts them into second place for now.
57 hundredths of a second. That's our second time in the 2:16s. That was a phenomenal lap by Grantus as the penultimate car goes out on track.
Yeah.
Which is by Piffet 213. Ferrari's been quite bouncy up here, and again that rear end is very, very looks a little bit more like a trampoline than a than the rear of a racing car. But the Ferraris have been quite one Ferrari so far. It's in the middle of the top 10 so far, as the penultimate car does come out onto track. But yeah, this one looks to be not complaining too much. Maybe a little bit of a wiggle out of the middle apex. But yeah, I'm expecting the Ferrari to want to wrestle the driver a little bit. But we'll see how they get on coming up. You want to take a bit of curb into speaker as well. Again, just open up the corner. That is on the limits of the track as well. So let's see how we get on here as well.
Yeah, let's see what Fabian Piffet can do around the rest of the lap. Apologies for the lack of livery on this Ferrari. We were doing so well with the liveries throughout all of tonight, although I've got to say the blank carbon look does seem to suit the Ferrari if I'm being perfectly honest. But Piffet just heading their way round the chicane now. It has looked a solid, if bouncy lap, a bit what you would expect from the Ferraris. Honda fastest at the moment, the 199 Zymanski car, 2:16.730. No one else has really been able to get close, apart from Karakas on the previous gap, and then a big 6/10 of a second back to Parak, Andrade, Pochnica, Pache, Daniluk, and of course Alvarado invalidating their lap time. So as long as Piffet doesn't run off circuit and get an invalidation here, guaranteed a time in the top 9. That was pretty wild through Blanchimont.
Yeah. I had a little bit of a moment on the coming into Stavolo. Car a little bit wiggly as it got on the power, but yeah, that's possibly a bit too wide for the track, and again, wide on the exit. So that is a valid lap, and it's a 2:16.682. That is our current pole sitter in a Ferrari. So there is only one remaining car on track, driven by Message Malinowski for 8:69 for the Keck BMW Clown Fiesta Esports team. Not esports, esports. A returning name is Mr. Samir Fok and Jaroslav owns it as well. But yeah, so if there is a Ferrari to... Well, there will be a Ferrari on pole. The question is, will it be the 213 or will it be the 869?
Yeah, the 869 we've seen win a race earlier on this season. The 213's been close on occasion and has put in some pretty solid performances across both of the races. Malinowski then making his way down the Kemmel straight, coming down the gears in that Ferrari, nice and tidy through Lecombe. We just get a brief shot there on board the gear through there, riding the curb beautifully into Bruchel. Be interested to see whether we see that double apex, and yeah, again, it's a pattern from the faster cars, I suppose we could say, in this final part of Tier 1, that they have gone for that wider, that later apex, going wide halfway through the corner.
Right on the line of track limits, coming out of speaker there.
It worked for Pife earlier on through Blanchimont being right on the edge of track limits. This is kind of what you have to do if you want to set a 216.6 around here. And we were looking at the 218s earlier and calling them aliens.
Was it the McLarens and the Ferraris doing a double apex at Bruchel? Is it the more rear oriented cars that
I believe it was.
have to do that double apex, or do they want to do it? I guess we'll find out in the race, because there is plenty of it. That will be happening tomorrow. I'm not sure what time it kicks off, but it will be on the AOR YouTube channel later on this evening, where you can find out exactly what time it starts. It will be in 2 parts as usual, as Malinowski comes through Blanchimont, again taking it very wide, leaving absolutely nothing to gripe about. Very tight on there and nicely through. How wide? Not too wide on the exit. Is this pole? Is it front row? That is pole by 3/10. 3/10 of a second. A 2:16.3. They had purple sectors in the second and final sector.
And as you can see in the background, Malinowski, quite rightly, quite happy about that time then. So the 869 Ferrari takes pole position in the Tier 1 class with a 2:16.322. Pife in the 2:13 is second. And you can see the rest of the order on the screen there. Hopefully we'll be able to get Malinowski with us shortly to talk about what was an absolutely incredible lap and puts them in a superb position for tomorrow's race.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. It's one of the things, especially the looking at like some of the, I have seen like the I don't know, kind of like the, I don't want to say Jardier and friends, that seems kind of mean, but like Malinowski, Samir Fok, Jardier, George Boothby, like they all do racing in both Apex Online, a couple of others as well, and just like their pace is just absolutely, I don't know. It's just absolutely amazing. And I mean, we thought like a 216 Tev and 216.6 was gonna be the time, and it's a 216.3. And we are joined in the commentary box by Tortellini.
Hello, guys.
Hello. I am going to assume you are one Malinowski who's just taken pole.
Yes, that's exactly me.
First of all, how in the hell did you do that? And secondly, congratulations on pole.
I was just recently when we just started to preparing for the race, we just did like Samir, who's usually the guru of the Ferrari. He sent us some setup, and it started with me actually not liking the car. So I started tinkering with it, and because I like Spa as a circuit, I really like it. I wanted to make that Ferrari work here because I knew there's potential in it. I was just playing with the setup, and I found a really nice balanced setup that will work for me. And yeah, I was just recently lapping and preparing for that because I just wanted to get the pole for the team. So
kind of worked out
just a little bit more preparation than usual, and it paid off.
kind of worked out as like the perfect storm for you there today. Then tinkering with the setup and getting it just right. You were starting to like the Ferrari, and you really like Spa. It kind of worked out very well for you today, didn't it?
Yep. I mean, like Ferrari is a tricky car, but if you can make it behave exactly how you want it to behave, you can really enjoy the car, especially on the track like Spa, because Ferrari is just mental here, how fast it is. So I was mainly my main competitors today were for sure Fabian and Schubert. They were definitely that Honda and the Ferrari are the two cars here in the dry that were the fastest. So since they were here, I definitely knew that it's important to be competitive. So that's why I was playing with that setup. But hey, it paid off, so nice.
Yeah, certainly did pay off. One final question. We were talking about it a bit towards the end of qualifying. The Ferraris and the McLarens through Bruxelles seem to take a slightly different line to some of the cars. You seem to go more for a double apex. Is that just to try to stabilise the car, or is it something you didn't even realise you were doing until we mentioned it?
I always go for a double apex there, so it really depends on the car. Maybe with like I don't remember necessarily, but maybe with the Aston Martin in some other races we're going for more of a hugging the apex throughout the corner. It really depends with the conditions, and even with the just setup in the car. You could probably take it to the Ferrari, both by hugging the apex and with more of a double apex, like a V shape. It really depends what you want to do there and how your car is set up. If it, I don't know, maybe you have more downforce and you can really throw it into that corner and use the stability of the car and then do a V shape. I don't know. It's just multiple approaches, and there are multiple approaches that can give you the same end result. So it just really depends what one prefers as a driver and what car is seeming to like there.
Are you going to be starting the race, or is there someone else who will be taking the first stint of that?
We have absolutely no plan. So, especially knowing what the weather will be, I could be starting the race. Maybe Jardier will be starting the race. If I don't know, we'll yet to see because we don't even have a race set up yet. So
it's a matter of wake up and find out, I guess. Then
yeah. Just like always.
Certainly seems to have worked so far. So, Chinson, any more questions?
None at all.
None at all from me. So, congratulations. Enjoy yourself some tortellini now to celebrate the pole position. And yeah, we'll see you in tomorrow's race.
Bye.
So, all about BMWs in Tier 2, but all about the Ferraris in the top tier. A 1-2 lockout for the Italian marquee, and it is the 869 with Malinowski on pole position and seeming quite relaxed. Just, wake up, see how we feel tomorrow, and then we'll decide what we're doing for the race. Not bad at all when you have that confidence that you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely I mean, it's definitely a change considering how different the two cars respond. The BMW being a lot more stable and the Ferrari being a lot more, again, like, I mean, even as Malinowski has said, it's a lot, it can disagree with you, but if you get it right, it will pay off so much. But yeah, I mean, we're going to have to find out what happens tomorrow and how the weather conditions are, as the AOR 12 Hours of Spa kicks off at 10 a.m. UTC. So that is something you can use for a time code. I know in UK time that will be 11 o'clock in the morning. So I think that's British summertime, isn't it? So yeah, it does depend on where you are. As to what time it will be, but yeah, it will be roughly around 11 in the morning UK time. So join us here rather on the AOR YouTube channel. You will be able to set reminders as soon as we can get those live streams sorted. There will be part 1 and part 2. I think the first half is being taken by, I think it is one Mr. Luke Etheridge and Benny Cage as well, covering for at least the first few hours. And then I will be returning to the commentary box a little bit later on in the day with Tetra as well. So yeah, that is. I think that's it, Luke. Do we have anything else to run through?
No, I think that's pretty much it. If the qualifying's anything to go by and how close things were going to be tomorrow, we're going to be in for definitely a cracking 12 hours of Spa-Francorchamps, 300 plus laps of hopefully fantastic action. Hopefully we don't get any of the chaos that we saw at turn number 1 at Monza either. When have we ever seen any big accidents at Spa? I can't think of. I can't think of any.
You had to say that. You had to say.
Well,
okay.
it'll be me paying the price for my own commentator's curse tomorrow morning.
You'll be paying the repair bills of all the cars.
But yeah, I better get entering the lottery then.
It'll definitely be interesting to see how we get on tomorrow.
Yes, it will be indeed. Make sure to check that out. We'll have the streams up very shortly. It will be 11 a.m. UK time then, as Chinson said, that is at 10 a.m. UTC for the first few hours of the 12 hours of Spa. So make sure to check the AOR channel out. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done already. And we will see you tomorrow, 11 UK time, just under 14 hours, for round number 3 of the Endurance Championship. From myself and Chinson, enjoy the rest of your evening, enjoy the rest of your day, and goodbye.
Goodbye.